Go live. Let's do the live. What is up? Oh, we need some ambient lighting in here. We need some good lighting. Echo, office lights, purple. There we go. That's much better. What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the live stream, bi-weekly live stream. Answer your guys' questions, kick it with you guys, and just hang out. What do we got? Mez, do you need a tune if you install a bigger top-mount intercooler? That's not a bad idea to get a tune. You're changing the volumetric efficiency and the amount of air that goes into the top mount. People get away with not tuning for bigger top mounts, but I would highly suggest getting one, my man. Hey, glad you could swing through the stream, my man. Austin, can't wait for the swap. Same, my dude. It is going to be a huge undertaking in the STI. There's the worst part of doing the swap is going to be electronics and fitment. Once we get past the electronics portion, which is probably going to be the last thing that we do, it should be smooth sailing from that point. But trying to get a standalone ECU to work with the engine and CAN bus system in the STI is going to be such an annoying thing, especially trying to get past the immobilizer in the car. Not looking forward to trying to rewire the entire chassis of the car, but it's something that we're going to have to do. What's up, my dude? Anything ordered yet? I have not ordered anything for the EG33 or the STI yet. Like I said in yesterday's stream and the upload earlier, I don't want to get into the EG33 stuff until the BRZ turbo setup is completely done with, and we have one project done with, so that way we can just solely focus on the STI. With the BRZ stuff, though, I got the tune date set up for the BRZ since we get the turbo components tomorrow. So the tune is early September. I think it's September 4th over at Intech Racing here in Washington State. A really cool little shop. Lowe is the tuner over there. He tuned my buddy's SR22 and his S14. I think it's an S14. It's a JDM S14, I think. And then my other buddy's 2JS13. So should be some really good stuff coming with the BRZ as soon as we get all those turbo components on there and trailer it up to get it tuned. What up? Finally got a live stream. Glad you could swing in, Stefan. Hope you're having a good Sunday, my man. First time catching a live stream as well. Well, welcome. Alfredo? I'm so bad at like names. God-given STI. See, you finally got the engine. Can't wait to see how it goes. How it will turn out for you. Praying goes well. Thanks, my dude. Like I was saying, it's going to be a huge undertaking to get that EG33 to communicate with the STI in the way that I want it and to get everything to fit properly. Matt and I were taking measurements yesterday in the engine bays to see kind of fitment of everything. Overall width-wise, the EG33 is about the same width as the 257. It is about, I think it was 7 inches longer, and the timing section of the engine sticks out quite a bit more than the EJ does, but we'll make it fit one way or another. The game plan for that, for fitment, just to get the EG in there, because the radiator is going to be a big issue, is I want to try to push the radiator forward about 2 or 3 inches underneath of the core support, weld a new bracket for the core support just to bring structural rigidity back to that area. Even if I could just do like a welded nut and some bolts up there, kind of like how the BRZ is, that would be a nice setup as well. But we'll see what happens when the time comes when we start fitting everything into the STI. We'll probably start – the game plan for the EG is to start that build this fall because there's a lot more research I need to do. I don't even want to pull the 257 out of the STI until I get the EG33 long block done, which is going to be the sleeving, the built internals for the short block, the heads. I have no idea what I'm going to do for the heads quite yet, but that one will be an interesting roadblock to get past. But after the heads are kind of done with, the heads I already know are going to be the most expensive part of the build. The heads alone are just not looking forward to doing that, but we'll see when we get there. Yo, what up, Scary? What up, my dude or dudette? Your name doesn't really give any type of identification, but I love your videos, man. Keep it up. I'll be referring to some older videos when I finally collect all the parts I need for the best catted downpipe for my... Oh, what is the best catted downpipe for a 19WX? There's a couple good ones out on the market. ETS, I believe, makes a pretty good one. Nameless Performance, Cobb, Grimspeed. There's a lot of good companies out there that make some catted downpipes. How much power can my stock engine and turbo handle on an 07 WX with 90K miles before stuff starts to blow? That is a very difficult question to answer because I don't know the engine health of your car. If you are wanting to push your stock block, I suggest, especially at 90K miles, you should be doing a timing belt, water pump, oil pump, all that stuff anyways for that 90K service. While doing all of that service, I would also do a compression test on the engine just to see the overall engine health of it, make sure it's not leaking, anything like that, and just kind of gauge how healthy the engine is. Once it's been determined healthy, start pushing it at that point. Hey, appreciate the dono, Lil P88. Baker versus me race. Let's go. Battle of Polk Legends. Let's do it, my man. I haven't seen you in a hot minute. Once you come up to what is the base up here? Fort Lewis, man. Let me know. Haven't seen you in a hot. When was it? 2015 was when I got out of the Army and left Polk. Hopefully, I see you again here in the near future, my man. I haven't been a long time. We should do like a Fort Polk get together one day. That'd be kind of nice. How much? That's the one we went through. What up? What's going on, Nth Level Entertainment? Hope you're having a good Sunday, my dude. Why didn't you go with Surgeline for the BRZ? BRZ or Surgeline doesn't tune BRZs, which I thought was a little weird. So the way Surgeline tunes is they use access tuner, so you have to have an access port to be able to have the car tuned. The BRZ FRS GT86, they use the ECU Tech or other appropriate licensing for tuning. So it's just not a program that Surgeline uses for tuning. If it was, I definitely would have gone back to Surgeline because they do awesome work, but they just don't work with ECU Tech. So having them tune the car is just kind of out of the question. So Intech Racing, they're a very, very good smaller shop. It'll be really cool to get over there. They have a really dope food truck right outside of their shop also. So I am looking forward to kicking it and spending the day over at Intech. Big hype. That's what's up. Yo, that's right. What up, my boy? What up, Baker? Like fettuccine Alfredo and pasta. That's what's up. Turbo is going to be fun to fit in there. So, yeah, the turbo setup on the EG setup going into the STI. I'm going to relocate the battery to the trunk. I'm going to relocate the fuse box to the trunk, so that'll give us some more room. The game plan is to run 2 smaller Garrett turbos somewhere in the engine bay. I don't quite know where yet, but we can easily fit 2 smaller Garrett turbos up there. I'm not too worried about it. It'll be fun to mock them up. But will you race me? Dude, I 100% Baker. You know I'll race you. You still got the Yaris? No, the Yaris died. If you still have the Yaris, dude, that would be a solid one. What's a good tune to go with for TGV, EGR delete, and J-pipe? E-tune would probably be your best bet on that one, Mez. There's no OTS tunes that'll accommodate EGR and TGV deletes, so an E-tune from an E-tuner would probably be the easiest way to do it, to get that done. Fatboy Tuning, Ambot, Bren Tuning are all some really good ones. Eric over at Torque Performance is also a very good E-tuner. Thoughts on legacy wagons? We have one out back. We have a blown up legacy wagon out back. I like them. I like wagons. Wagons are so usable. Who doesn't want a usable wagon? You can put so much stuff in the back of them. Unfortunately, ours is dead at the moment, but that is one project that will get taken care of at some point in the future. Don't know when. What's a great first car for under $5,000? Saab 92X Aero. And what's your opinion on Saab? Saab 92X Aero. That would be such a good first car. You can pick up 92X Aeros for pretty cheap. And it's essentially just a Saab WRX. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I like the Saab. Someone sent in a Saab on one of the subscriber garage videos that I still have to edit. I like Saabs personally. I think they're just a more classier version than a WRX. But then again, it's just got a Saab badge on it and a different front end, so it's not too much different. I will definitely let you know. That's what's up, Baker. Found a decent deal on a 19 WRX Premium, but IDK how I feel about it being a fleet vehicle with 18,000 miles. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it is a 19 WRX. It does have higher mileage than other ones would have that year, but as I'm assuming it was like a rental or a loaner at Subaru or something like that. But there's nothing wrong with it as long as it passes all pre-inspection like tests. As long as there's nothing wrong with the car, I don't see an issue with it depending on the price that you can get it for. But that's all going to vary as well. Good to catch a live. What up, Alex? What up, Brian? Is it better to check your oil when your car is cold or after it's already warmed up? So generally whenever I go to check my oil, there's like a process that I go through. If I'm checking the oil when the car is cold, yes, you're going to have all that oil that is down in the pan, which is going to tell you how much oil you have in the pan and in the car. For me, whenever I check my oil, I let the engine run up to operating temp. I shut the engine off. I wait about 10 minutes, and then I'll check the oil because for me, I feel like that gives me the most accurate reading. The oil's been warmed up, so the viscosity of the oil has changed enough to where everything that is in the actual engine is going to be flowing and moving nicely. After 10 minutes has elapsed, it's also going to let all that excess oil drain back down into the pan. So that is typically how I check my oil when it comes to just seeing how much I actually have in the pan or doing an oil change. Ooh, got my Forester EJ205 done on the road. Just needs a CA bar to be 100% legit. What is a CA bar? California, I'm guessing California something? Not quite sure what CA bar is. After your engine part out on the build is done for your STI, will you be doing any further mods like a roll cage, for example, for the track? So that's actually a really good question. So because we're going to be swapping the EG33 into the car, it's not going to communicate all the way with the CAN bus system. I'm already well aware of this. One of the things that I feel like is not going to work is going to be the airbag system after I swap this engine into it. Now, with that being said, I do want more advanced safety in the car, especially driving it on the road. So a roll cage is something that I'd like to have put into the car. My buddy Devin makes really good cages. He has a small little shop that he has. There's also another shop called Fuse Fabrication up here that does really good work. But for the safety aspect of just driving the car, yes, I do want a cage because those airbags probably will not work anymore after the swap has been done. And getting in an accident with no airbags, no safety or anything like that is something that's going to bother me. And I would also like to swap out I feel like I have to burp, but I don't. I also want to swap out the seats, get proper like safety harnesses, safety equipment in the car, just because I don't want to compromise my safety driving the car, not having anything that would like potentially save my life if we got into an accident. So that's actually a pretty good question. My 19WRX already has 15.5K on it already. Nothing wrong with that. Just means you're enjoying the car, driving it how it's supposed to be. Thanks for the recommendation. TMG Brian is the man and hooked it up with the prices. Brian hooks it up so well with prices. That dude is the man. If he can get you a deal on a part, he will do whatever he can. Love that they are in my neighborhood too. How did you get to know them? So I met Brian a couple years ago, and right when he started TMG, and he was trying to get me to buy all my parts through him. Which it's a little, because at the time they didn't have a website, they didn't have a storefront, they didn't have anything like that. Brian was getting all these parts and selling them out of his basement, I believe, or his house. I don't know where he was storing them. So it took a little bit to earn the trust to go from ordering from Rally Sport Direct 100% over to the Mod Garage. But after building up trust with them, they're super reliable, super fast on shipping. Brian always helps out whenever he can. He's always cool with me going up to their shop and just bugging them whenever I want to hang out or anything like that. So now I do like 70% of my orders through the Mod Garage, like 30% through Rally Sport Direct. So super, super, super good shop to order parts through. My 19WRX has 16K miles on it. I'm telling you guys, dude, there's nothing wrong. 15 STI, 65K miles. Dude, you guys are just driving your cars, enjoying them. I think my 17 just rolled over 30K. The BRZ is at like 52K. Drive the cars, man. Enjoy them. This one has almost 19K and it's listed at 27,000. Wondering if that's a little high in my book. If that's decent, or if I would haggle that price down. Personally, I'm not going to spend $27,000 on a 2019 WRX with 19K miles. I would spend maybe like 24 to 25. That's a lot of miles for that year to be asking that much. The far exterior and interior look in good shape, but IDK what the training and engine were put through. That is also a good point. That's why I'm saying get that pre-inspection. My boost could be twitchy at half throttle, like it either wants to be on or off. Tune issue, been 5 years since the last tune. You probably just need a revised tune. Engine health changes over time. The tune doesn't change. So you might just need an updated tune with that one. Any up pipe suggestions? Looking into, doesn't have many brands. Depends if you want to stay internally gated with the turbo. A normal like NVIDIA catless up pipe is a good option. If you want to go external wastegate, the Grimspeed is a really good option, catless. You can also get the Grimspeed one with the option of having the external wastegate and just getting a block off plate for the flange. Another really good option to do if you want to go external wastegate later down the road. Just dropped in to say hi. What's going on, Anthony? Hope you're having a good Sunday, my dude. California Bureau of Automotive Repair. Oh, the look of the car and verify you swapped her. Gotcha. And they give you a new VIN plate? Is it the same VIN or a different VIN? California has some weird automotive laws. I don't quite understand all of them all. I found a really good deal on TE37s, but I've been reading around forums and people are 50-50 on staggered wheels being bad for all-wheel drive, 17x8, 17x8.5. Would it be okay since the diameter of the wheel is both 17, you can run staggered wheels on a Subaru. Let me say that now. Let me get that out of the way. You can 100% run staggered wheels on a Subaru, but there's a big but with that and a stipulation. There is some math that you're going to have to do. As long as you can have the tire size the exact same on the front and rear wheels and have the pretty close to the same contact patch, you won't have any issues with the staggered wheel setup. Now, when people start going like 17x8, 17x10.5 or something like that and running two different tire setups, that's when you're going to start running into issues. So as long as your tire setup is pretty much 100% the same, you're just fine running staggered wheels. Does anyone make a muffler delete for an 07 WRX that isn't a Crawford for $350? I don't think so. I mean, you can go to a custom exhaust shop. They should be able to do it for you pretty cheap. But just as a bolt-on part, maybe Nameless Performance. They might have one. Nameless Performance has some pretty like one-off parts, so they might have what you're looking for. Paid $26.5 for mine, brand new. That's a pretty good deal. We're talking about the next gen STI. Yeah, I do want to talk about the next gen STI a little bit. So thank you for bringing that up because I totally spaced on that one. I saw this picture and I kind of wish I was on Twitch doing this because I can at least screen share. Have you guys seen this concept for the new STI on Facebook? This thing looks ugly. This thing, like, personal opinion, this thing looks awful. It looks absolutely awful. If you guys haven't seen it, there's some graphic renderings going around of the new STI. Personally, I think it looks like they shoved a Legacy and an STI in a blender and just kind of took out whatever they got. Matt and I were talking about this yesterday, and personally, I think Subaru needs to go back and take a look at what they were doing in the early to mid 2000s with their cars and try to re-emulate that. I think if Subaru took a Hawkeye and gave it like modern touches, a modern version of a Hawkeye would sell so good in my opinion. You put an FA24 and a modern looking Hawkeye, that thing will sell like hotcakes. That thing would sell so good. Personally, I think this new render, whatever they're doing with it, no, go back to the drawing board, Subaru. It's just the headlights on it. Like, I wish I could give you guys a more clear picture of what it looks like. Maybe if I zoom in on this, the headlights on that look like a weird Toyota Camry looking tiny. They're tiny. I don't know. I just don't like it. Not a huge fan. Not a huge fan of what they're doing with this thing. We'll swing back through some more of this new STI stuff because I do want to get through a couple more questions. 2019 STI, I have boost controller, downpipe, SF intake, fuel system, and next, but only have 93 available. What should I do? Should I go stock block with bigger turbo or built block? That depends on your budget, how much power you want to make, and what's available to you. Personally, I see no problem pushing the stock block. You have the 2019 STI, which has the Type RA short block, and people have been pushing those engines pretty far, so you should be just fine, unless you want massive amounts of horsepower. There's only 91 available up here in Montana. That sucks. So here I'm in a predicament. I really want TGV EGR delete, Jesus, on my 19 WRX, but I'm trying to modify, trying not to modify till out of warranty. My question is, how bad is the carbon buildup going to be at 36K miles? It's going to be pretty bad. You're supposed to walnut blast or use Subaru's slow induction service to clean the valves at 30,000 miles. That's a Subaru recommended service on that one. So it's going to be pretty gunky. I would highly suggest cleaning those valves before even doing a TGV or EGR delete on that one. Can you wrap a car that has paint chips? Yes, I wrapped the BRZ. It had paint chips. I have an FA20 WRX with intake J-pipe and boost controller. I'm stuck. Do I spend a couple grand on bigger turbo and header? Or do I just get the DW fuel pump and flex fuel kit? That's actually a really good predicament on that one. If it were me, I'd get the DW pump and flex fuel kit before getting headers and turbo, because that way once you get the turbo and the headers, you can easily just turn up the boost once you get a bigger turbo on there. Carvin stays the same, but door. That's so weird. It's weird to me that California's car laws blow my mind. In previous streams, you said that front mount intercooler requires a tune. Could you explain why? I've been hearing yes and no. So yes, a front mount intercooler is going to require you get a tune. I've seen cars run like straight butthole after putting a front mount intercooler on there and not running a tune with it. So what's happening is you're going from a top mount intercooler, which has very short charge piping from the turbo to the throttle body. When you go to put and you have very small volume in the OEM top mount. When you go to put a front mount on the car, you're increasing the distance that the air has to travel from the turbo to the throttle body. You're also you're greatly increasing the surface area and the volume of the front mount intercooler. So you're going to have a lot more air that's trying to be put in there because you can hold more air in the charge piping and the intercooler core. Your car is going to see more air going into the system. Now, it's not going to be entirely a bad thing, but the ECU needs to know what's going on with it. So getting a tune for it is going to be very, very beneficial in the performance and how the car runs after swapping it over. Some cars might just work with it a little bit better on an OTS tune, but I would highly suggest swapping over to at minimum an E-tune on the car. They're easy to get. You can email a pro tuner. They'll send you over the map. You make your revisions. You go about your day. Good question, though. I work for Subaru. I'm going to try to get a launch edition. Do it! The new FA24 STI launch edition. I saw that the STI isn't supposed to be released until 2023, which means that the sales wouldn't start happening until 2022. I think Drive Magazine had an article posted on their website with Subaru's timeline for when they want to release the new STI. I did think it was a little weird that the new WRX is supposed to be released in 2022 and the STI is supposed to be released in 2023. So a little funny, but like I said, when the new STI does come out, I do want to go test drive one. I don't plan on buying one, but I think it would be cool to go test drive one, give you guys like some honest opinions of what I think about it and whatnot. That's got to be fake. It's like the impregnancy with a wing. It doesn't look like a good render, and if that is the render of what the new STI is supposed to look like, I'm not a fan at all. But I might just be a little judgmental right now because I remember when the VA chassis first came out, I hated it. Now I have one and I like it, but it might be a little time consuming before I actually start to warm up to it. Do you see older Subarus like the Hawkeye going up in value now or in the near future? Yes, I see Blob Eyes, Bug Eyes, and Hawkeyes that are in very good condition. I see the value of those increasing as time goes on, especially with the jump from the EJ to the FA. EJs are going to start disappearing. FAs are going to start becoming more prevalent. But I do see the value of really clean, low mileage Blob Eyes and Hawkeyes and even Bug Eyes going up in value quite a bit here in the next couple of years. But we'll see what happens with the market value on those ones. So, I mean, if you guys do see any of them out there for a pretty good deal, then they look pretty clean. Might not be a bad idea to scoop one up. Brian, thought as well, hard to find a crystal white pearl. Thoughts on unequal length headers on twin scroll? I've touched on this before. Don't suggest doing it. You completely remove all the benefits of getting a twin scroll turbo setup when you swap over to an unequal length header. You're decreasing your fuel mileage, decreasing performance. It's just not something that I suggest doing. You also have the potential to increase cylinder head temperatures because of the longer runners. You're going to have exhaust gas staying in that header a lot longer as opposed to the other side. So you're going to get unequal temperatures between heads on the engine. So I don't suggest doing it. But people do it. So, I mean, if you strictly just want it for the sound, then you just need to understand that you're giving up some performance aspects of going over to an unequal length header. It's looking like my cat busted in my 15 STI. Would I be safe going to a Cobb catted down pipe? I'm going straight to stage 2 of supporting mods. Yeah, dude, totally safe. As long as you are not running an intake with your downpipe, totally safe to just make the swap over to that one. If it has the Ascent engine, it's gonna cook. Yes, it's gonna have the revised Ascent engine from what I've seen on the new STI. Personally, I've seen Prime Motoring do some crazy stuff with their FA24 that they swapped over. Looks like a really solid engine, but I don't think everyone understands that Subaru is making changes to the FA24 when they put it in the STI. So some of those changes being transferred over, I still foresee some problems with that engine when it's initially released. I was talking to someone in comments of another video earlier. They just bought an 08 WRX. If you just look at the transition that Subaru did from 07 to 08 when they swapped over to the GR chassis and they revised some of the engine stuff, you can see that the 08 to 10s are just notorious for spinning bearings. Trust me, I know. I bought an 08 STI. It's fun of bearing. I didn't know at the time that the 08s were more susceptible to the issue. But I mean, even Subaru released a statement about it, but it's just I foresee some issues with the FA24 when it first will be released, but we'll see what happens when the time comes. And especially the problems aren't going to show up till a year or two after the new STI is actually released. So not quite sure what the issues will be, but they should be fun ones. 93 with 10% ethanol versus 91 with 0 ethanol. My mechanic recommended the 91. What are your thoughts on the 07 WRX? I don't know why he'd suggest the 91. I would suggest the 93 with 10% ethanol. Having the ethanol in the fuel you're going to get some of the cooling benefits from having the ethanol, which are going to be reduced knock. Your engine's going to be more happy. I'm not quite sure where he's getting 91 with no ethanol from. Not quite sure what his reasoning behind that one is, but my suggestion is going to be the 93 with 10% ethanol. Dealerships offer service for carbon buildup. They do. So the way Subaru deals with carbon buildup is it's kind of like Matt and I were talking about this one earlier also. It's kind of like a seafoam that they put into the intake track of the engine. They let it run. It slow feeds this chemical into the intake track where then it goes into runs through the intake manifold, goes down to the valves, and it cleans the valves. It essentially dissolves all the carbon buildup that you're seeing on the backside of the valves. All the carbon buildup deposit goes down into the engine, and then it just goes out the tailpipe. So it smokes a lot. It smells really bad. But yeah, Subaru does have their own carbon buildup service. I don't know how much they charge for it. I want to guess around maybe $250, $300, but you don't have to pull off the intake manifold. It's really easy to do. If I can figure out what the chemical or what the actual induction service is, I will definitely share that information with you guys. So for those DIY people like myself, you'd be able to do it at home instead of walnut blasting. And I'm assuming that it's not included with the service package that I bought with them, even though it's recommended at $30K. I have no idea if it's included with the service package or not. I would talk to the service advisors over there on that one. Hey man, I have a stock 17 STI. I recently got an access port tuner. My tuner recommended to put stage 1 tune on it. Started getting a lot of feedback knock, and I went back to stage 0. What do you recommend? So I made that video on understanding OTS tunes a little bit. That video should give you a lot more understanding of potentially why you're getting feedback knock. Some engines just don't communicate well with OTS tunes. It may not necessarily be the tune, it may not necessarily be the engine, but sometimes the communication between the two of them is not always there. Even though your engine was assembled in the same factory mine was, my engine may respond completely different to an OTS tune than yours would. My suggestion would be an E-tune that's going to communicate a lot better with the ECU and whatever's done to the car. Doesn't sound like you have a lot done to the car right now, but just OTS tunes in general, they don't always like to talk. Also keep in mind that up to like negative 2.80, negative 1.40 is completely normal for feedback knock. Same with fine knock learn. Your dam shouldn't change, but the ideal value is going to be 1 for that dam, but sometimes it does drop based off of that OTS tune. But OTS tunes are never ideal, but sometimes they do get the job done. My suggestion, like I said, snag an E-tune from someone. They work really well. They're not terribly expensive either. The chassis stiffness in the VA makes it worth it. I had a 2011. The chassis stiffness is much nicer in the VA with the revised design that Subaru did. Makes it a lot more stiff. We took an 05 with WRX with 90,000 miles at my dealership. My finance manager bought it for $2,500. That is so cheap. I wish I could snag a Blobeye for $2,500 with 90K miles on it. That's a steal. Man, dealerships get some good offers before they send cars out to auction. Sometimes you guys can get some cool cars for cheap. I will be about to push 320 to the wheels without front mount intercooler and ESTI. Ooh, sounds like a fun build, my man. Such bullshit they're waiting this long to release it. I've been waiting 5 years since the concept was shown. Why show the concept and force the 2015 Plus, not a real updated model? Yeah, so I mean, just based off of that render that I saw on the new STI as well, it doesn't look too much different from the current VA chassis as far as design. The whole rear end of the car looks like it's been legacied out. because you know how the legacies, they had, like the older legacies have taillights that go all the way across like the backside of the car. Not a huge fan with the way that looks. And I'm guessing the reason they keep pushing out this new FA24 STI or revised WRX is they just keep running into issues that they haven't quite disclosed to the public quite yet. Subaru just may be pushing out so they can try to get it as perfect as they can. But hopefully, I mean, they actually stick to their timeline. Like I said, the most revised timeline that I saw for the new FA24 STI to come out was 2023, which means that I don't think they'd accept orders until like early 2022. So it looks like the EJ is going to be sticking around for another like year or two when it comes to this updated one, unless like official specs come out to be released. Like, I don't like going too much into any of like this, like the what is it, the rumors or like the tea talk or whatever you guys call it, just about new cars being released when we don't have official information from Subaru. But seeing some of the stuff that Drive Magazine and some of these other articles are putting out there, it seems like 2022 is going to be the earliest date for orders on them. As for, like, I haven't even seen official horsepower specs put out. Everyone's claiming that it's going to make 400. I don't quite think so. I'm going to guess, this is purely my guess, that the new FA24 STI is going to be like 350, 360 horsepower crank. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see what Subaru actually announces when they actually get official power specs put out there. My car shakes on startup from time to time, then goes away. Any thoughts? Potentially loose mounts. You could have a misfire on cold starts, which is causing the engine to shake as well. I would go through there. I would do like a shakedown on the engine, check all the mounts, make sure your engine mounts aren't worn depending on mileage. Check spark plugs if you are. Pull up cylinder roughness. See if you are getting a misfire on cold start. It would have to be a pretty violent misfire though to make the whole engine shake. So my initial guess is going to be mounts. Check your mounts. Check your mounts. I'm replacing my downpipe and catback, looking for new hardware. Do you have any suggestions on bolt grade as well as bolt nut material? The hardware replacement from Subaru is $180. Jesus. For studs, I would recommend buying OEM studs from Subaru. As for the rest of the hardware, go to AutoZone, go to O'Reilly's, buy some grade 8 nuts and bolts, use those. I always go to like O'Reilly's, AutoZone, Ace Hardware, Lowe's, Home Depot, just to buy nuts and bolts there, because I can't really justify spending a ton of money on hardware because I can go get it for half the price or a quarter of the price at the hardware store. Will I be pushing 320? Sorry. Let me scroll back up, Andy. Let me scroll back up to that comment. Where did it go? I've lost. Did I lose it? Maybe I lost it. Andy, where did your comment just disappear to, my man? You said front mount intercooler and E. Depends on how aggressive of a tune you want to go, and how comfortable you are pushing what you got. But I mean, it's possible you can hit it. Also depends on the dyno you're going to be using, because if you're using a Mustang dyno, they do call it a heartbreaker dyno for a reason, since they tend to read a little bit lower than dyno jets. I think you'll be able to hit it. I think you'll be able to hit it. Just depends on your tuner and how comfortable you are making the power. Speaking of VA stiffness, do you think getting those Cusco chassis bracing parts are worth it? 100%. You don't have to necessarily buy Cusco. Cusco is a little bit more expensive. Beat Rush is a good one. They're a little bit more expensive also. Personally, for me, I like the OEM JDM STI chassis stiffening parts. I have all of them on my car. I am more than happy with them. I've got some Cusco parts on there, some Beat Rush, some Torque Solution, but 100%, I do think that chassis bracing is critical and important, especially if you're on bags like I am, because the overall rigidity is, I mean, I like my car stiff. I like them to be as stiff as I can get them. So I would say that they're worth it. Seems so lazy. Also, the new Leverg interior, which was historically shared with the WRX, looks like the new Legacy dash. I don't know why they're trying to like take the new cars they're making and trying to like mash them all together. It seems like a really lazy copy and paste situation that Subaru is doing with some of the new cars. But like I said, I don't want to go too far into it and just like start overly judging them quite yet until the new specs have been released from Subaru themselves. Like I said, some of these automotive journals out there that share some of this information, it's all hobgobbler. It's all made up stuff half the time anyways. Hey man, love the channel. Recently bought Tomei unequal length headers, and I'm really eager to throw it on. Would it be safe without a tune? Is it an EJ or an FA? If it's an FA, don't put it on. If it's an EJ, you should be fine to put it on. Piping diameter is going to be different, but I would still suggest you get a tune. But overall, as long as you stay out of boost until you get your tune, you'll be perfectly fine. 400Z will probably take a lot of market share from WRX STI. You're not wrong. That also looks like an interesting car that's going to be coming out. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. I used to like Nissans and Subarus are what I like. I used to have 350Z, so the Z cars are one that I've liked. I've had a 280Z. I had my old Skyline, my GTST. I like Nissans. The 400Z, personally, I'm not a fan of either. Looks a little weird, but I do think it will take some of the potential market over to Nissan and away from Subaru. But it also depends on release dates for them. I mean, Subaru hasn't even given us a full concrete release date of their new chassis. I don't know if Nissan has. I haven't quite looked into theirs. But I can see some of the market going over to Nissan away from Subaru, especially depending on how the FA24 actually performs when it is released. But that's also to say how the 400Z will perform also, because I have no idea how that car is going to perform. I know I asked this earlier on a post I made, and thanks for the quick responses. I'm a little confused between what it means on negative and positive DAM results. I had a 6, maybe it was a glitch. Yeah, so for years, I've never seen that. I've never seen DAM increase up to 6. Like I said, I would highly suggest emailing over Cobb and seeing what's going on, especially on an OTS tune. I've personally never seen DAM increase. I've only seen it decrease. I know with the FA20, the DAM does read a little bit different. They do have a write-up on DAM readings on the FA20. You might be able to find your answer in that one, but for me, I don't have an answer for you on that one, my man. I've never seen it. What mileage is the pickup tube most likely to break? 07 WRX 90K miles. Killer B will be next purchase. I mean, I've seen some break at 30K miles back in the day. I've seen some break at 120K miles. I've seen some never break at all. So it's always a flip of the coin. It's always a toss-up. It's always a surprise. It's a surprise that you don't want to have. It's not a fun surprise to get either, because then your engine just dies. It's not an enjoyable one. When I pulled the old pickup out of my old 07 STI, I saw around the welds it was starting to crack, and that was at 123,000 miles. So I'm really glad that on my old 07 I pulled that oil pickup when I did, because that would have been a nightmare that I did not want to deal with at the time. That's the one we just went through. You need a new webcam, bro. What's wrong with this webcam? This is like the best webcam I could buy. It's what is this? Marantz AVS. It's a pretty good webcam. Pretty good webcam. Cameron, what is wrong with this webcam? Please share your thoughts, my man. Because if I can make it better, I will try to make it better. It's a 1080p. 1080. AutoZone it is for the next hardware. Thank you. Yep, they got good hardware there. That's what I always use. I try to buy the flanged bolts if I can buy them. If not, then just washers with them work just fine. I just bought a fully built 2011 STI, but still, hey, appreciate the dono, Gabriel. All the support helps, my man. I just bought a fully built 2011 STI, but still has stock headers and a Tomei SPT exhaust. I was thinking of getting Tomei headers and catback. Your opinions? Tomei makes really good exhaust components. When it comes to Tomei catbacks, personally, I don't like them because I don't like how big the muffler is and how far it sticks out. But, I mean, that's just personal preference on how it looks. But quality-wise, Tomei makes really good parts. I have the Tomei overpipe on the BRZ. Really good quality. 10 out of 10. Yeah, Tomei. If you want the Tomei headers, the unequal length ones are really good design. And they're really good quality. I don't know if Tomei makes an equal length. I haven't looked into theirs before, but Tomei, 10 out of 10 suggest them. Do I think installing 04 STI lower control arms on my 04 WRX would improve handling in any way? If you are swapping out the bushings and you're putting them in, yes, I do think that will improve handling. They're also aluminum control arms, so they're going to be a little bit lighter as well. If you are getting those control arms, I would highly suggest pressing out the old bushings, putting in new bushings, just because 04 was, 16 years ago? Whatever car they came out of, I'm sure those bushings are worn and they've seen their life. But we'll see. Grainy quality, LOL. The graininess is due to the lighting in here. It's the webcam is actually adjusting the ISO to try to compensate for it because it's like direct light coming in here. I need to get like a blackout blanket over there and just have like normal lights, and that'll fix the graininess. But I will take that into consideration for the next live stream, and I will grab that stuff next time I go to the craft store. But thank you actually for pointing that out because it doesn't look grainy on my end, but I will get that taken care of. It is just the lighting in here. So many Camerons have Subarus. It's crazy. What up? All the Camerons. All the Camerons. My buddy Cameron used to have a couple Foresters. I'm getting a new 2020 STI tomorrow. Congrats, my dude. I've been looking at mods. Should a new fuel pump injectors be safe on my first mods? I've heard the stock parts are pretty limiting. If you want my suggestion on what your first mod would be, I would say grab an access port and a downpipe after you've kind of gotten comfortable to how the power or how the car is responding to that power. Get an intake, fuel pump, and injectors all at the same time, and then get an E-tune because you can run either an intake or a downpipe on the new STIs without having the fuel modifications. But as soon as you do both, that's when you need to do the fuel stuff. And if you are going to be doing that fuel stuff, I would suggest grabbing the Cobb fuel pressure regulator. It's just a fuel stumble fix kit. Your tuner will appreciate you greatly for getting that thing. The webcam gives you room. The trimmy pastel vibe. Like I said, I'll fix the lighting so that way it's not all pastel-y. Say engine for sale on a Subaru SVX. Looks like a flat 6. IDK if it was the same one you had. I don't think it was. I got mine on eBay Motors, but I've seen a couple other local ones pop up as soon as I bought mine too. How long do stock turbos last with stage 2 tune? Been tuned for about 20K. Shouldn't have any issues at all with the turbo. I mean, you're gonna have normal wear on a turbo. The seals might go out eventually, but maybe at like 130,000 miles ish. But at that point, you'd be able to see that the turbo seals have gone. You'll see smoke coming out of the exhaust and whatnot. But overall, I mean, you shouldn't have any issues with it. Should be just fine, but that also depends on how you drive the car, how well the car's been maintained as well. Real talk time. Ooh, I like the way this one's starting. Real talk time. Love the channel, but do you have any plans to branch out, provide content to a wider audience to generate more revenue? Yes, I do actually. So we are going to be branching outside of Subarus after the EG33 build is done in the STI. The next car that I'm getting I already have it picked out. I already know what I want to get to branch out outside of Subarus. But yes, 100% do plan on branching outside and growing more. The 6-cylinder swap in the STI is just something that it's going to be cool. It's going to make the STI stand out. It's going to bring other people in as well. It's going to be more unique. It's going to be more of a one-off. But after the EG33 swap is said and done in the STI, I do plan on buying another car. Well, there's 2 cars I have in mind. One of them is a Mazda. One of them is a Nissan. So when the time comes, I will share more information about those. But I 100% plan on expanding outside of just Subaru. But even once we've expanded outside of Subaru, I do want to make it clear that I will always help people with whatever Subaru-related questions that they have. And there's always going to be Subarus on the channel as well. Subarus are one of my favorite cars made. They offer everything I want out of a car. It's a very, very driver-centric car, especially the STI. It's one of the best mechanical feeling cars that I've driven in a very long time. And especially with a lot of the newer cars that are out on the market right now, a lot of them are just so computer-friendly. I'm just not a huge fan of computer-friendly cars. So both of the next cars that I'm looking at for the channel are older Nissans and Mazdas. And both of them will be awesome. They'll both be fun. They're both engines that I've played with a little bit in the past, but haven't dug too much into before. But 100% do plan on just expanding outside of Subaru as the time comes, but there will always be Subarus on the channel, and I will always help people with Subaru stuff, and we'll always make Subaru content as well. I'm surprised no one talks about AMSOIL. I've been running it on my 2016. AMSOIL is really good. A lot of people use AMSOIL. Hey, I've been trying to start making videos on YouTube, but I keep getting a ticking sound from my mic. What microphone do you suggest? I don't have my microphone near me. What do I have? I have the Video Mic Rode Pro. It's a really good microphone. My old Canon M50 had a clicking noise also when I first started making videos. So it was actually the aux jack in the camera. But the Video Rode Pro mic is a really good one to use. Or I use the Rode Go, which is like a wireless mic with a lapel that I use whenever I do like discussion videos, just because I don't want to be yelling at a shotgun mic across the garage. I have an 11 STI. So you can drive parent, equal length headers, and Tomy has some to action. Oh, okay, I got you. You're responding back to him. New injectors are needed for 19WX. No. So for some of you, because I see this question come up a little frequently, the FA20 WRX, the newer WRXs that a lot of people have, you don't have injectors. You do not have injectors in that car whatsoever. Your car is direct injected, so you don't need to buy injectors unless you're going to be doing port injection and direct injection like the BRZ, if you swap the BRZ manifold over onto the FA20 on your WRX. So to answer the question, you do not need to buy injectors. They don't even make injectors for the FA20 to be able to bolt right on. But for the FA20 WX, you can run intake downpipe, no problem. The direct injection system is very capable of being able to supply enough fuel to compensate for both of those parts, no problem. The direct injection system is very, very efficient, and you shouldn't have any problems with it at all. In one of my videos, I talked about removing the Evap system hoses and control switches. Can you go into a bit of explanation? Have you noticed any difference in performance? No difference in performance at all. So all the Evap system was doing was monitoring and regulating the gases that were off-gassing essentially from the fuel and sending them back through the system instead of just pumping them out into the atmosphere. So since removing the Evap system in the car, no issues whatsoever, no decrease in performance whatsoever. All the gases, they just come off of the hard line, coming off of the firewall, and just all vent to the atmosphere. No problems with doing it at all. If you are going to do it, make sure that you are going to be able to pass emissions, because if you do this and you have emissions in your state, you will not pass emissions at all. He's going to buy a Honda. I knew it. I'm not a huge Honda fan. If I were to buy a Honda, it would probably be an S2000. Right-hand drive RX-7. It would be an RX-7. The next car that I would buy would be an FD RX-7, but it would be right-hand drive. After having my old Skyline, I'm not a huge fan of driving right-hand drive, especially in the States. It attracts so much attention. It's really annoying to deal with. I always made the mistake of, because I had my 06 STI and my 1993 GTST at the time, and whenever I'd swap between cars, the one thing that always threw me off was the windshield wipers and the blinkers. They're reversed, and I'd always go to turn my blinker on, hit the windshield wiper, and then I like right-hand drive cars. I don't know if I'd buy another one, though, after having one, but if I could get a right-hand drive FD for cheaper than a left-hand drive one, then I'd probably just get the right-hand drive one and just live with it. But yeah, the FD RX-7 is one of the ones that I would want to get. Hey, what's up, dude? Hope you're doing good. I'm doing great, my man. I was wondering, do I need an access port or a Pro Tune to run an AOS in my all-stock 18 STI? Nope, you do not need a tune at all for any air oil separator, with the exception of the IAG Competition Series one, because that one vents gases out to the atmosphere from the PCV system, so it is changing vacuum pressure just a little bit. But for a Street Series AOS, you don't need a tune at all. You can just bolt that bad boy right up and be on your way. Follow-up from expanding content question. I like it. I mean, a much wider audience. Think MKBHD or NISTAT. You have the personality for it. I would love to do like daily vlogs like that, but I don't know if my life is just that interesting to make a video on every day. I mean, I definitely could, but I don't know if people would watch it. I've debated it before. I've made some vlog kind of style videos. If you guys would watch vlog style videos, I would definitely make them. I do have enough going on where I can actually film vlog style content. It's just I have no idea if people would watch them. And with the discussion videos, topic videos, installs, everything else we got going on, I mean, I can definitely incorporate it in. I just don't know if people would watch it. And if people would watch it, I'd definitely do it. Do you know if I need a closed deck for 480 horsepower? I don't know what car you I don't know what car you have, man. You got to give me some more information behind that one. Ever been pulled over for a loud exhaust? How did it go? I've actually never been pulled over for a loud exhaust, and the STI is stupid loud. So the STI has no mufflers, it has no resonators, it has one cat. But for having a loud exhaust, never been pulled over. The only things I've ever been pulled over for, obviously speeding, but I haven't been like caught for speeding in the past 2 years, and illegal tint. I think those are the only two that I've ever been pulled over for. Actually, I don't know what the statute of limitations is in Louisiana. I almost got pulled over in Louisiana. So back when I was like 18, I was stupid. And we used to street race all the time when I was in the Army. And there was one time outside of, I think it was DeRidder, Louisiana or something like that. It was one of these like small towns in Louisiana. There was a pack of like 50 of us going out there to street race. And that was the only time I've ever done something stupid and ran from the police. But surprisingly, everybody got away except for the Mustangs. The Mustangs are the only ones that got pulled over. I don't know how. They were GT350, so they were much quicker. But don't run from the police. Done that once, would not suggest doing it. Just take the L on that one. You just get in a lot more trouble if they catch you later on. I have the M50 as well. How do you suggest I fix the problem, or should I just get a new mic? You can try getting a new mic. My old like regular shotgun mic didn't do very well with it. I forgot it was like the Rode Go or something like that, and it wasn't the best. The Video Rode Pro though is a much better mic, and that should help reduce clicking in post when you go into Adobe Premiere, whatever editing software you're using. You can definitely try to mitigate out some of the clicking. It's a little bit of a pain, but it is possible to do. I hope the Mazda is going to be an RX-7 FD3S. It's going to be an FD. No idea which one. It's all going to come down to budget. I've always wanted an FD RX-7. I had an opportunity to get one a couple of years ago. Someone offered to trade their FD for my 2007 STI, but at the time I was like, no, I'd rather keep my STI. Kind of kicking myself for that one, but we'll get an FD in the future. That is one car that I've always wanted. I've been having some cold start issues. Seconds after the startup, the car would lean out bad and drop RPM 25 to 600, come back up, sometimes dies. Could be the secondary air pump if it is going, but you will definitely get a check engine light if it is the secondary air pump that is dying. If it were my car, I would first think that it's going to be a boost leak, especially on cold starts. It's going to be a lot more prevalent with the secondary air pump pumping air into the system. But could be a couple things. I would first do a smoke test on the car if you don't have any check engine lights. If you do have a check engine light, then it's probably going to be that secondary air pump, which if it is, just delete it, get it out of there. It's garbage. Off the cuff, do you know much about Forester suspension setups? Not a lot. I know that people lift. I know you can do lift kits on Foresters. I know you can take Impreza suspension, swap it onto Foresters. I know there's some basic swap over stuff you can do. I think you mentioned on a prior video you're leaning towards a Porsche for your next project. Is that still a possibility? 100% a Porsche is my dream car. A GT3 is my 100% dream car for anything. But that's realistically here. They're expensive. I don't have the funds for it. And it's just, that's maybe like 5 years down the line that I'd actually end up getting a Porsche. The only thing was, as I said, I'd sell the STI for a Porsche. That's the only thing I would sell it for. But going into doing this EG33 swap on the STI, it's not going to be a sellable or trade-inable car after this, unless like a very specific buyer wants it. So that's not going to happen for quite a while. But I'd love to get a Porsche. It's still my dream car. I did my head gasket, small leak, and timing belt water pump thermostat at 92K. Was this too early? No, not at all. 100K, 90K service, 100K service. You're supposed to do it anywhere between 90,000 and 100,000. So you were right on your mark, my man. Thanks for that info, my dude. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy your Sunday as well, my man. I've been trying to find an STI hatch for months that is clean, sort of giving up, trying to go with 15 plus STI. Hatches are so hard to find nowadays. They are incredibly difficult to find because everyone wants a hatch. Subaru, hashtag bring back the hatch. People love the hatch. I miss my old hatch. I had 2 hatches. Well worth it. Well worth hatches. If you can find a hatch, I highly suggest getting a clean one. If not, the 15 plus is a really good option to get as well. So were you in the U.S. Army? Are you from the U.S.? Are you in Canada now? I'm from the U.S., always been from the U.S. Been in Washington State, Louisiana, and Arizona for most of my life. I was in the U.S. Army. I was a 15 Whiskey, which I was a drone operator, so I flew the RQ-7 Bravo Shadow while I was in the Army. I did support missions with like Special Ops, Green Berets, Rangers, that kind of stuff. I supported them while I was deployed over in Afghanistan. Super cool bunch of people. It was really awesome to be able to fly drones for 4 years. Super fun to do. Now I have a couple of my own drones that I play with every now and then, as you guys see on the channel. Option on Garrett's G Series turbos, currently a 490 wheel horsepower, 540 wheel torque, corrected, and considering a G 3900 to reach 650 plus all wheel horsepower. I mean, it sounds like a good goal. Sounds like you know what you want. It's going to come down to the limitations of your block. The turbos that I've been looking at, Borg Warner was one of them that I want, but Borg Warner turbos are like, they're huge for what they make. Garrett makes really good compact turbos that make a lot of power. I mean, if it comes down to it, yeah, I mean, snag it. If you got the budget for it and you want to hit that power goal, I always try to buy my turbos. So if like you want 650, I would try to find the turbo. I don't know what the max capability of that turbo is, but I always try to find one that's 100 wheel horsepower or 200 wheel horsepower over what I want. So that way, when I want to grow for more power, I don't have to buy another turbo or swap it out, because turbos ain't cheap. Let's be honest here. Engine is closed deck. IAG stage 2.5 RS. So why did I just say 2.5 RS? I got my head in a different place right now. I don't know what the 2.5 is capable of off the top of my head either. Just make sure that your block is capable for the power that you want to hit, because the last thing we want is anyone throwing a rod to the moon. Brendan, where is the bumper install video? I've been waiting to see you swing back through, my man. Been waiting for it. In Germany, it's so ongoing. I pulled over nearly every day by the police, and only at the moment driven on my STI in a rimless catback. I do. They sound strict over there. Hopefully they're not. What's up? Why are you closing the door? Oh, you're watching videos? Okay. Melanie says hi, everyone. She's watching videos on her phone. Good luck finding an FD RX-7 for less than 30K. I've seen some of them pop up for around 10 to 12K. They're pretty beat, but I don't mind buying a beat FD. I'm totally fine taking a project car in. I mean, it's what we do. We fix cars, we build cars, we do car things. I'm totally fine buying a project FD. Dream car, though, Veilside RX-7. Those are clean. I'm not a huge fan of the Veilside kit, but they do look good. I need some Arizona tea, my woo. All right, what else we got going on? I have an ETS catback, no mufflers, no resonator, and NVIDIA catted downpipe, and just got exhaust ticket on Tuesday. No fun. Hopefully it's not too expensive. What's up? Love the channel. 18WX, 30K miles, going FBO. Flex fuel, comfortable with most of the parts for install, but worried about stripping things. J-pipe. Soak them. Just soak them in some PB Blaster. Take the whole can of PB Blaster and just soak them. When I did a J-pipe up at the Mod Garage, because every now and then I do installs with them and help them out, we only stripped one of them, and it was just awful. It was over-torqued from the factory. Really strip them. Don't strip them. Really soak them in PB Blaster. It's going to be critical to help get those nuts off a lot easier. Don't pay a shop. You can totally do it yourself. I mean, if a shop does it and they strip it, they're not going to tell you, and they're going to put that stripped one back on, and then you're going to have to deal with it later, most likely. My suggestion, do it yourself. So completely stocked with NVIDIA catback. Just ordered the intake TGV deletes, downpipe, turbo inlet, external wastegate kit, and cop fuel system. You think I should throw a 20G or Dom 1.5? Dom 1.5 all the way. PRE Racing did a really good turbo shootout, and the Dom 1.5 was one of the best turbos that they tested. The 20G, the Cobb 20G is a good turbo for stock blocks that just want a little extra horsepower, but the Dom 1.5 is going to be a lot better. What's the chance of getting a follow on IG? Bro, I don't know, because I never even dig through that too much. I don't know. Generally, all the stuff that I follow on IG is more personal stuff. I might make a dedicated page, though, for the channel and maybe potentially move everything over. I'm not quite sure. But generally, everything on my Instagram is just personal following, friends, family, other car builds that I'm interested in. But we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll surprise you. Maybe I'll swing through and give you a follow. When doing the diff fluid service, what fluid brand do you recommend? Do we need to add? No, you don't need to unless you're on an older one. So the new ones, you're just fine putting a 7590 in there. It's what I use on all my WRXs, STIs, BRZs. They are just fine with the 7590. Some of the older ones, like the Scotty's Cocktail, if you have an older GD chassis WRX, the Scotty's Cocktail is a really good one to do. But no, 7590, that's all you need, my man. Motual. Trying to put some STI pink springs on my 05 Forester. KYB struts. I'm struggling to figure out the exact parts list. I believe I need that one. I'm not sure. I would check Naziok. I know there's a lot of Naziok forums regarding lift kits or STI pinks on Foresters. People have done it in the past. I know someone out there has to have a detailed list on Naziok. I would go in there and search their forums to find that one, because I don't want to tell you false information, because I'm not 100% sure. I think you need... Yeah, I'm not even going to dig into it. I'm not even going to tell you what I think you need. I would just check the forums on that one. Know anyone that would know how? Okay, so yeah. Naziok's going to be your best bet for that one, my man. I have a 16-year-old being new to the Subaru family. Any suggestions for a new drive? I was thinking of base model Impreza. No turbos yet. Don't blame you. The FB20 isn't a bad engine as an initial one. It's pretty easy to work on, do your own maintenance on. If you're trying to save some money, the earlier 205s are not bad if you want an Impreza of that generation. Just keep in mind that the naturally aspirated EJs tend to have head gasket issues more than any of the turbo models. But if you do have a head gasket issue, it is a great learning opportunity for your 16-year-old to go out there and wrench on his own car and learn more about the engine. They're easy to work on, not bad to work on either. Highly suggest one of the older 205s or the newer FB20s, depending on how much money you want to spend on whatever car. Plus, the older ones come in a manual. It's always good to learn on a manual. I learned what I was on my 98 XT, learning how to drive a manual on that thing. It was a perfect car to learn a manual on. What are my thoughts on the new Grimspeed front mount intercooler? I think it's overpriced. No doubt that it's probably a quality front mount intercooler, but I definitely think that it is overpriced compared to some of the other ones on the market. EJ 205, my 2002 WRX, is at 140K miles. Have never had ringland. That's good. That's good. Some engines, so like when my tuner Chris and I were talking about it, it's like a popsicle stick drawing. Sometimes you get a good engine, sometimes you get a bad engine. It's always a toss-up. What is an 07 WRX worth roughly with 90K? Hasn't left the family since day one. Well-maintained bolt-on goodies, etc. 90K mile 07 WRX, I'd probably pay 12K, 13K for it, depending on what's done to it and what maintenance is done to it. But I'd say 13K is kind of the in there point. Also depends on what model it is, if it's a limited, if it's a TR, if it's a base, a lot of factors. But we have been going for over an hour now. I got some other stuff I got to knock out for the day, so I appreciate everyone swinging through the stream. We will have another bi-weekly stream in 2 weeks from today. I will also be doing some other random streams in the next week or so as we get more stuff in. But I appreciate everyone swinging through the stream. Appreciate all the donos that people are dropping in the channel as well. And if any of you guys do have any questions, you know where to find me. You guys know I respond to everything on YouTube, so feel free to drop it in a comment or shoot me an DM on Instagram. I've been slow getting back to those ones because the amount of DMs coming through Instagram has like skyrocketed, so I do my best to get through most of them as I can. But hope everyone has a good Sunday and rest of their weekend, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies. Woo!